Aquaman tries to take the Thor Ragnarok approach, but does DC pull it off?
Aquaman is directed by James Wan, best known for directing the Conjuring series. This film stars Jason Momoa, Amber Heard, Willem Dafoe, Patrick Wilson, of course, and Nicole Kidman. So there are three main conflicts explored in this film, starting of course with one of tolerance and inclusiveness, and this of course involves Jason Momoa's character as Aquaman, as he basically is trying to find his place in the world as both a human and an Atlantean. And then the second conflict involves
bad writing.
And then the second conflict involves, of course, one of like political and social upheaval as civil war is brewing in the depths of the ocean. And then the third conflict is one of this sibling rivalry between Aquaman and his Atlantean brother, King Orm.
Right.
Kind of like a Cain and Abel conflict going on there. But the problem, what is the problem with this movie?
Aside from bad writing.
Aside from bad writing, is that none of these conflicts are fully fleshed out. They are kind of like sparked, you know, but then they don't go really anywhere. And a lot of these conflicts are not really resolved, you know?
Yeah, this movie's all over the place.
It is.
It doesn't...
back and forth, and forth. There's a lack of continuity here.
Right.
That makes sense.
I had mentioned it was trying to be like Thor Ragnarok in the sense that it was trying to be funny and just a little different than its darker predecessors in the DC cinematic universe, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, didn't pull it off. I kind of felt like a lot of the comedy was forced. Certain scenes took me out of the moments, the movie.
Yeah, the tone shifted way too much, you know? Like, I think he tried to establish this specific, like, action-packed adventure, kind of like 80s vibe tone, but then that wasn't even consistent, you know? I mean, it just didn't feel like it knew where it was going.
Right, exactly. I mean, going back to what you said about the 80s movie feel, it did feel like one of those 80s movies that relied too much on your tropey villains, your over-the-top, boisterous, you know, characters.
Cheesy comedy moments, you know, that moment where the lovers kiss and then you have explosions in the background, you know, kind of like Romancing the Stone, you know.
But you know what? It did serve for some laughs, because we were laughing throughout the movie, but just not
laughing at how great it actually did, you know, callbacks to the 80s, I guess.
Right, it wasn't for the reasons that you would think.
Right.
Again, this movie felt like it transformed into so many other movies. I mean, at one point I felt like I walked into The Great Gatsby, Goonies, Bugs Bunny, Finding Nemo,
Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Godzilla even. Like, I was, you know, calling different movies out as I was watching scenes, and I was like, man, they took this scene directly out of this movie.
Yeah, like Avatar, Fifth Element, Power Rangers even.
Yes.
I stopped at one point. I said, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, that's it. No more. So it's almost as if the director took these images from all these older movies and threw them in here, and it just doesn't feel like it's authentic and real, you know? It feels really fake, and I just couldn't help but feel like I couldn't connect or care about any of these characters. I felt like emotionally distant from any of them, and you know, the movie I think shines best when there's like the humorous interaction between Momoa's character and Heard's character, you know, because they're like the love interest in the movie. But other than that, I felt the humor was really forced and flat, and it just didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, and it goes back to bad writing, and especially you were mentioning characters, poorly developed and badly written characters. I mean, like you said, I mean, the acting wasn't too bad, but for example, like the chemistry between Momoa and Heard, I was like, it was okay. So let's delve a little bit more into the characters here. As far as Heard and her father in this movie, played by Willem Dafoe, I was kind of curious about why they cared so much about stopping this war with the surface world, and why they, you know, cared so much about us, you know, flat-footed people, you know, not breathing underwater. I just didn't.
You mean a clear lack of exposition?
Yes. I was like, why? I don't understand.
Yeah, there's no explanation for it, and so you're left wondering that. And you know that a movie is not that great when you think that the first, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes are some of the best in the entire movie. And I'm talking specifically about, you know, some of the supporting characters, like Nicole Kidman's character, who plays Atlanta. I want to say.
Right. Atlanta. Yes. She does a really good job, by the way.
Yeah, she does. And there's one of the best action sequences occurs at the beginning of the movie, and you really get to know her character at the beginning, and it's a mind-blowing action sequence. But then after that, you know, she kind of disappears for a while, and then she pops up again, and then she's back, and then you're like, oh, it's Nicole Kidman again, and then she disappears again, and that happens with a lot of these supporting characters.
That's right. Black Manta.
Yeah,
Black Manta, for example.
Yes.
He's there. Couldn't stand him, by the way, but he's there. Looks like he's going to play a major role in the story throughout. Then he's gone for felt like 40 minutes almost.
Yeah, and then he pops up again, and you're like, oh,
I remember you.
I forgot about him, but he's back. Yeah, and so, you know, I think that Patrick Wilson, of course, he does a good job, and I feel the reason why he does is because he's probably used to the director, you know, I feel like, and so
good point.
Yeah, he did a good job as the jealous, you know, angry, bitter brother who wants, you know, who wants the power or the throne for himself.
Right, and he just wants to be the Ocean Master.
Yeah, the Ocean Master, which is one of several cheesy lines that you can expect in this movie.
Going back to what you said about the fighting scenes, I thought those were by far the best part of this movie.
Absolutely.
They were elaborate, they were lengthy, but they weren't dragging, okay?
No.
The action was, and the tension was palpable. I mean, they had these wide angle shots, they had
high angle shots,
single takes.
Right, low angle shots. That's actually one of the great things about the fight sequences in this movie is that you really get a sense of the depth of the scenes from different angles, and so you really appreciate like where the characters are standing, you know, and the distance from each other, and it makes for some amazing fight sequences.
I kind of think Hollywood is finally doing a fantastic job of this, and not just with movies, but also with TV series like Netflix's Daredevil, for example. It has beautiful choreography and cinematography of their fighting scenes.
Yes, and unfortunately, though, the special effects left something to be desired a little bit, in my opinion. And I think that they shine the best with the creatures. Some of the creatures, like there's this big Kraken-looking creature that I thought was pretty cool.
Right, yeah.
But the underwater sequences at times were like too hazy and fuzzy, and I thought, man, Finding Nemo has better special effects than this. I mean, really, like, I felt that way. You know, like, I just thought that, I don't know, man, it just looked fake, you know?
Yeah, you know, I can understand how a movie like this, of this scope, and trying to do it underwater, because this is where it mostly exists, would be tough, because you have to CGI a whole lot of stuff. So, you know, I got to give him a little bit of that. But yeah, it wasn't too convincing for me, but you know, it didn't take me out of the movie. I'll put it that way, I suppose.
Look, Lenny, there's an underwater sequence in Alien Resurrection, the worst movie in the Alien series that I thought was better made than this. I really felt like they could have done a better job, and it just makes me appreciate Marvel so much more.
Yeah, well, maybe they were just over-reliant on CGI, I suppose.
Yeah, well, they need more careful attention to detail.
Speaking of detail, the backdrops in this movie did not provide good detail for it. In fact, they were distracting. I thought it was a little too dramatic at points, so that's another part of the techniques I can criticize. But wait, there's more. The music. I did not enjoy the music in this movie, and I felt like something was going on, and then these like old songs, I don't know if they're old songs or just bad songs, would come up, and you could tell they're really trying to set the mood, and it contributed to the movie feeling disjointed, and I did not appreciate it.
That's funny that you mentioned that, because I don't even remember the music at all.
Because it was garbage.
Because it's not memorable.
So now it's time for our real ratings, our real take on Aquaman. Again, this movie, it's pleasing to the eye, right? But I felt like it was too melodramatic, the dialogue was cheesy, and some of their superhero poses I could have done without. But to be honest, this can be an enjoyable movie. What you have to do is you have to kind of put your inner critic aside and just try to focus on the humor and the visuals, okay? As far as how it ranks in the DC cinematic universe, I would have to say it is below Wonder Woman and below Man of Steel for me. Okay,
I would agree with that.
So to narrow down my real rating, I would give this 3 reels out of 5.
Well, Lenny, you know, there's a movie that we saw recently that is appealing to the eyes, and you know, it does a much better job at its narrative and its characterization and just about everything, and it's called Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And I can think of many movies that are pleasing to the eye: Mad Max Fury Road, Avatar, you know, that it's all about the visuals, but it's backed up by some good storytelling, you know? And for that reason, and the fact that I felt no connection to any of these characters, I really need a story, and I really need a story that pulls through and conflicts that are well resolved. So I'm gonna go the Nun rating on this and give it 2.5 reels.
2.5 reels, yeah.
2.5 reels.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it is a poorly made movie.
It really is, and I am losing faith in DC, and you know, thank God for Wonder Woman, because that seems to be the only solid DC film so far. Please leave your comments below on what you think about Aquaman. A lot of people are liking this movie, and they're even comparing it to Wonder Woman. Look us up on Facebook at Real Screeners and Instagram real.screeners.
Okay, and as always, hit up that Alamo Draft House, best place to watch movies, guys. And as far as our channel, if you like our reviews, if you like our reactions, go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell button for notifications.
Thanks for watching our Real Takes on films. This film stars Jason Momoa, Amber Heard, Patrick Wilson, Nicole Kidman, Willem Dafoe,
and the Green Goblin.
Aquaman is directed by James Wan, most known for...
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
Goonies, Goonies, Goonies. Rosalita, Rosalita. Es una casa de locos. Por Dios.
Okay, I got it. Again, this movie...